the education portfolio has three ongoing projects. So we have the Liberia Getting to Best in Education project. We have the Improving Results in Secondary Education project. We also have the Liberia Learning Foundations project. So we have three major projects. In terms of the value, we have a portfolio of size of about 64 million United States dollars.
Okay.
And some of the projects, specifically the Getting the Best in Education project, started as far back as 2018, but actual implementation at the beginning of 2019. And that project is closing in the next 5 to 6 months. We are now at 93% disbursement in terms of the grant amount.
Okay.
Of,
So it means that it's ending.
It's ending, the grant amount of 10.48 million United States dollars. Originally, it was a little over 11 million, but there was some restructuring that was done. The grant amount was reduced, giving the context and the redesign of some of the program areas. So, and the Getting the Best project is an early childhood education project. It has a development objective to improve access to early childhood education, and also to strengthen the monitoring and accountability system of the ministry.
Okay.
So, and what that means is that we've been able to work with various institutions, for example, the Rural Teacher Training Institutes on our teacher training program. When the Getting the Best project was designed, it will interest you to note that the project identified what we call 6 honor-served counties, all counties in the southeast, with the exception of Grand Juda and Bomi County.
That is since 2018.
2018.
Okay.
So those counties were selected based on certain indicators. It was a special study, done looking at poverty, indicator, for example, stunting, access to basic social services, different indicators, were used to arrive at the honor-served counties we just mentioned, the 5 counties in the southeast, with the exception of Grand Juda, and also Bomi County. So, at the design of the project, those 6 counties, on average, the number of qualified, the proportion of qualified EC and primary teachers was at 45.77%.
Okay.
So what did the project do? Over the first 3 years of implementation, the ministry has been able to increase the proportion, the proportion of qualified EC and primary teachers in those underserved counties to about 70%. So that is a massive achievement. And more than that, you agree with me?
Do these statistics reflect the current reality?
Your current reality. So in fact, what we do is that when we do training, when the ministry replaces, teachers, for example, some of the teachers as part of the system were found to be functionally illiterate.
Okay.
And what that means is that there were teachers who were just unqualified to teach at the grade level they've been assigned. So in that meeting, the minimum requirements, for example, an early childhood education teacher or a primary teacher in this country must have a minimum C certificate. So not just that they didn't possess the minimum requirements of having C certificate, but they could not just teach at their grade level. So from education science will tell you that that person, even though a teacher that was intended to teach, but functionally that person is illiterate. Meaning you cannot perform the tasks that you should be doing. We don't want to, deep dive into that, but I know it wouldn't surprise you. Yeah. Our system has suffered a lot, when it comes to the issue of qualified teachers and so forth. But this government, this administration has done well. We want to be thankful to the Global Partnership for Education for the funding provided, and also the World Bank as a grant agent. But that is just one aspect of a Getting the Best project. If we have the time, I will go on to talk about different components,
Yeah.
and then I will dive into the Liberia Learning Foundation and the improving results in secondary education
Yeah,
program.
but since we have three, that's Getting the Best is one. We can get to the other one.
Yeah, so but let me just highlight two more things on
Yeah,
the Getting
two
the
more
Best.
achievements, yeah.
So in terms of the access, we've been able to support about 523 early childhood education schools across the 6 counties we talk about. And what basically we do is a capitation grant program. So we encourage schools, we encourage communities for parents to send their kids into the school at the right age. You are aware the education law calls for age appropriate placement, and especially for early childhood education in our country, the requirement is that children or kids in the range of 3 to 5 years. So
Should start.
start at least in early childhood education. So
Okay.
meaning that when you are transitioning to grade 1, as age 6, you must be in first grade.
Okay.
So we have a problem of overage, which we will talk about later on, and what the ministry is doing
Are we achieving that?
to address that. We are achieving that. So we've been able to support those 523 schools, encouraging parents that for every child enrolled in early childhood education program across the country, especially in public schools, the school gets an incentive of $10 for every enrolled child.
Okay.
United States dollars or its equivalent. So the idea is
Is it affecting just public school or private?
public schools, at least for now, public schools, the intervention for public schools. So the idea is that early childhood education is not free in our country. Unlike primary education and like tertiary, and the president, thanks to his excellency, for making some of our education services free. At least we get in the dividends. So what we want to say is that we try to encourage parents. So every child that goes to a public primary school in this country is supposed to pay $3,500. So that's Liberian dollars.
Yeah.
So the equivalent of $10 at the time the project was designed, it was actually calculated around when the rate was 200. So we had anticipated at least 2,000
Yeah.
Liberian dollars, to be provided.
Yeah.
Then the parent will pay 1,500.
Yeah.
So I think that has helped a lot. A recent survey we conducted, from the grant program, we realized that in 523 schools, 98% of those schools enrollment increased by 26%. So kids were not coming to school, parents maybe could not afford the amount, and some other reasons, So we saw that enrollment growth. We thought that the ministry has done well. It's a massive, improvement in the sector. Now let us not forget, somebody will say, but why can't government just make early child education free? With that rate, and looking at our current statistics, it will cost the government almost $12.5 million to make early childhood education free. In this
That's quite a money.
in this that's a lot. Government receiving 40 to 45 million annually. You do the math, in terms of percentage of the budget that should only go to early childhood education. But we are not there yet. In terms of subsidizing the schools.
Is it continuing? Is it on now?
The project is ending, and what we're doing right now.
Is the $10 still being provided?
Yes, but we do it normally in 2 tranches.
Okay.
So the first semester, there's an 80% disbursement done on the total amount. For example, let's say a school has an enrollment of 500.
Okay.
So times 10, we expect that you get $5,000.
Yeah.
Per the academic year.
Yeah.
So 80% of that amount is released for the first semester, and the second semester we release the remaining 20%. And the idea is maybe at the time of the disbursement in the first semester, we still will not have the full data on those who are in the school for the academic year. Sometimes some parents delay in registering their kids and so forth. So in the second semester, we do an analysis to see if we got the actual. If we spend more than we had anticipated, for example, they will do the adjustment on the 20%. So maybe we give less at the time, and most students are coming, we add the addition, to the amount. So there are several things we've been doing. The teacher training program, we've been able to train about 726 ECE and primary teachers across those counties, and giving them the C certificate. So, and also we invested in school leadership and management. This is something that we have done for the first time as a government.
That's under Getting the Best.
Getting the best.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who are the implementers?
First, when we did the first cohort, and before I forget, we also trained and certificated 876 school principals across those counties.
Okay.
So the implementers, the first cohort of our teacher training program, we had We Care Foundation.
Okay.
We Care is a Liberian, NGO and education NGO in this country, who led on the early childhood education training program.
Okay.
And then we also have the diversified educators, empowerment program that's deep. Also a Liberian NGO who led on the primary teacher training program. Of course, all of them were working in collaboration with our teacher training institutes. So
Okay.
those are the Kagata Rural Teacher Training Institute, the Webo Rural Teacher Training Institute, and the Zozo Rural Teacher Training Institute in Lofa. So they work with them closely. And for the school leadership and management program, we have the Liberia education, the education advance
Okay.
program. Is actually LEAP, LEAP.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So another Liberian NGO as well in education.
And
So
they did do extremely well
they
in
did
the implementation.
They did well. In fact, in the design of the program, and this was the vision of the ministry that we engage in an empowerment program, a capacity building program, so that knowledge and skills I transfer to the rural teacher training institutes. And you agree with me, those are the institutions that have the statutory mandate, the responsibility to training teachers, across this country. So because some of the programs were very new, for example, this was an in-service program. The TTIs, have been doing the pre-service type, so where people register, they go to the institutes, and they are there, is residential, purely residential, and then they are trained, they certificated, they go and take assignment. But this one, we wanted to focus on the teachers who are already in the system. Government is paying them, they are on government payroll, but we needed to upgrade their skills. And I think this was one of the best, innovative approaches I've seen, in recent time, especially if we will be able to achieve our goal of having qualified teacher to every classroom in this country. So as we speak across the entire country and based on the available statistics, we have less than 1,000 teachers who we need to obtain the C certificates. And that number, like I told you, when I gave you, just for the 6 counties, right? You saw the statistics. It would left from 45.77% and now at about 70%. So that would be a big boost. And those teachers are stay in the classrooms. So the way to do it is that they will remain in the classrooms. We bring them when the semester break is on. The TTIs gave them training in the pedagogical, training. We train them in different content areas and so forth, and give them sufficient materials. They go back to their schools they are teaching, and during holidays, weekends, and so forth, we bring them at the cluster level in the county, in a district. Also give them additional training, and then they go back to the school. We follow up with observation, classroom observation, and then we check and we will give responses. And we are also doing SMS, because we want to also include the digital aspect of it, online, virtual. So when COVID hit us, we had a problem with that. That was when we brought in the strategy of being able to also teach online. We think that is possible, especially given where the ministry is going, and the project has also supported the ministry in digitizing the sensor system. Right now we have our sensor tool that was digitized, and it may not be perfect, maybe not 100%, because some rural schools, when we go there, there are no possibilities of implementing the digital aspect of it. Sometimes we use a hard form and get information from the school, and we can enter the system. But what we're trying to set up is that we want to build a kind of data ecosystem, a culture of effective, efficient data in the system, something that we have suffered from, for many years. Data has better been an issue for us in terms of making decisions, educational decisions. So we think the ministry is on the right path, and we want to thank the Global Partnership for Education again, UNICEF, the World Bank, and others who have supported this initiative. Right now, our 2020, 2021, 2022 censuses, are ongoing, almost being concluded in the next few weeks or so. We expect the final reports of those censuses by end of February, hopefully,
Okay.
at least as per the calendar of event we have.
And the result will inform what kind of decision.
So, everybody wants to make evidence-based decision. So, for example, you want to supply textbooks, to students across the country. Do you know how many students are there before you want to give textbooks to people? Or maybe somebody wanted to invest in school feeding, which is very critical for us. WFP, for example. How can WFP design an effective, proposal if WFP does not even know how many students are there in the sector? So, in terms of planning, in terms of education planning, data and evidence, those are things that we don't really joke with, and it's good that we are now on the right track. This project supported the first census in 2019, 2020, and this was the first time in over 3 years. So that again is a tremendous achievement of the ministry, and we are grateful to the leadership of Professor Dawo Ansu Soni and his entire team for being innovative and pressing on some of these things to ensure 21st century learning is becoming a reality. So, and we are doing more. And when I get to the RS project, I'll tell you about what we are doing in the digital space, in terms of computer literacy, IT infrastructure being put in place to make sure we have a kind of resilient education system that can withstand maybe any shock in the future.
So let's go to the next program. From getting to best, what is the next?
So the Liberia, let me talk about the Liberia Learning Foundations project before we go to the improving results in secondary education project. So this is also another early childhood education program. So basically, this Liberia Learning Foundations project is building on what the model project is doing, which is the Getting the Best in Education project.
Okay.
So we are also working towards improving access. We are working
access
to early childhood education.
Okay.
So, for example, we are building about 54 early childhood education classrooms in about 18 districts, and those districts and the schools were identified to be schools that have issue with crowdedness, and
so this
forth.
one is more of infrastructure development.
More than just infrastructure. So while it's true that we constructing classrooms, we are also improving on the quality. So, for example, we are procuring a lot of teaching and learning materials for early childhood education, schools in those counties. And currently, we're distributing. We completed this first distribution, and then we have almost 80,000 materials, varieties to also be distributed across those 6 counties. And the issue of teacher deployment, we also going to be working to add on to what the Getting the Best have done, because we've been constantly publishing the teachers registry to ensure transparency and accountability. This is the first time that the payroll system is so now exposed. It's an open, like somebody say, like in the Ministry of Finance, they say the open budget system. So if you go to a district, education district, you will see the payroll published. It's on the bulletin. So teachers that are not supposed to be at that school, they can't be there, because even community members, parents will go there and see and say, but this man's name is here, but he hasn't been coming to school. So when that comes to our attention, the ministry will take action. That's the way to rule, to we are, the ghost teachers.
Yeah.
Back in the days, people were taking salaries, they were getting paid, but not working.
Nowadays,
So-
we don't hear about ghost names.
No ghost needs business. So that's some of the transformative, changes that are taking place at the ministry. And what that does is that there are a lot of gains, from that process. And those that used to take, that would say free money and they're not working for the money, those monies are not coming back into the system, and they can be reprogrammed, at least for better, incentives for those who are working very hard. Our teachers who wake up every day in the morning and going to school, they are present every day. The issue of accountability, we have in 2016, we had with the data at the time, showed that we had 60% of our teachers who were supposed to be in school, who they don't show up, they don't go to school, they don't teach. 60% absenteeism rate. That's a lot. So today, that narrative has changed. We have our CEOs that have been empowered. All our CEOs have brand Land Cruiser, Jeeps, across the country. We have no excuse. The DOs, they've been also empowered with motorbikes. Some of them, I know the motorbikes for, but the ministry is very keen on that. Minister Sony, this is something that one thing that is on your heart. The decentralization, process, empowering the locals, those CEOs and the DOs at the county level to do their job. So they have no excuse. If they have the logistics they need to do effective school monitoring and supervision, and they don't do it, then it means they don't want the job. So this is what the ministry has been doing, and will continue to do. And also, part of this Liberia Learning Foundations project, we're working on overage. Overage is a serious problem. In fact, Liberia got one of the highest rates, overage students, across the world. And we have so many programs in place to address that. So under this program, we're working with 5,600 overage students across about 200, across 300 schools.
In which division? Primary, secondary, or?
At the early childhood level, yes. So,
so you see 13-year-old in first grade, for example.
That's a pathetic part. And this is not just unique to Liberia. It's a global problem. Overage is a global problem. If we had the time, we'll go into some global statistics and see, how Liberia is faring compared to other countries. But even if it is happening all around us and all over the place, it doesn't mean that's what we want. So our education law is clear. If 3 to 5 years, supposed to be in early childhood education, then we have 6 years. We have 5. We have 8 years. Stay studying in what we call ABC, because our structure is like sometimes you hear people they say nursery, kindergarten. If I begin a nursery and kindergarten, but sometimes you hear ABC, K1 and K2, kindergarten 1, kindergarten 2. Yeah. So 3 classes, at the ECE level. So we're working on that, working on the overage students to be able to transition them at least to second grade, based on the curriculum of how the ALP, the Accelerated Learning Program.
But should be fit for the second grade.
Yes, they have a test. They have a particular, it's an intense kind of program. They have a special curriculum, and they got the materials well supported. And we have master trainers who, have been trained by the ministry. This program started with USAID supported. There was the AQE program. So we're bidding on that, and we have all the rich materials, and we have master trainers that we are working with. We train the teachers, we place them in the classroom, and we are also supporting them. So we have some volunteers also supporting that system. So that is what we want to do, and we are not stopping there. We intend, if we have feature funding available, we can also invest in the overage program. The issue of learning assessment, and I didn't talk about it again on best, but like I said, the LLF, this Liberia Learning Foundations project, is bidding on the Getting the Best project. So what we did in
so one is complementing the other.
Yes. So this is a 5.6 million project, and it's complementing the 10.48 million Getting the Best project.
Did it start the same 2018?
No, the LLF, this Liberia Learning Foundations project, actually started. It became effective July 2021. The Getting the Best was effective in 2018.
So you haven't had an appreciable level of achievement in that area.
No, we have had already. The Liberia Learning Foundations project is ending June 30th, 2023. December 31st, 2023. So we have like one full year left for this project. But we are almost at 50% of implementation, disbursement. Okay. And even implementation is beyond that, because the money, the value of it is actually sometimes less than the actual activities implemented. So disbursements of about 50%, we think that is great achievement. And what we are doing as the part of the learning assessment system.
Is it implemented in all of the counties?
It's also in the 6 counties. So maybe I should just mention, we have Bomi, we have Riverset, we have Sano, we have Grand Cru, we have Maryland, we have River G. So those are the six counties, that the Liberia Learning Foundation project targeting. The Getting the Best also originally was in those 6 counties, but we expanded our teacher and the principal training programs to additional 5 counties. So
Okay.
we included in the last cohort, the last
So
year.
subsets of the program affects other counties.
Yes.
Based on needs.
Yes, and the program was designed that way, especially the teacher and the principal training programs. That when we have substantially, improved on the proportion of qualified teachers in the original counties, we expand, beyond the original 6 counties. So that's what we did exactly.
Okay.
For example, Maigivi, Grand Bassa, Lofa, Bon, Nimba, all benefited from the Getting the Best project.
Yeah.
But this LLF and the Getting the Best, I doing what we call learning assessment. So at the primary level, the Global Partnership for Education, supported countries, about 80 countries now in the partnership, and Liberia was blessed. In 2010, we became a part of the partnership. So we're happy, and we've been able to achieve a lot in terms of the investment we have received. Beginning of 2010, 40 million grant, and then now we have 10.4 million, we have 5.6 million. So GPE has been a great partner to us, and we are very grateful, them.
Okay.
So this is the first time in 2021, Liberia was able to develop a policy on learning assessment, especially at the primary level.
Learning assessment.
Learning assessment. So what that is that I know what will come in your mind will be what why does with for example the 6th grade examination, the 9th grade examinations, and so forth. So the learning assessment at the primary level we are referring to here is a little different from that. It's done into phases. There's a direct assessment, one-on-one, where you talk to the students, you ask the student questions, the student is tested. So it's a diagnostics, it's a whole trying to analyze, to know how the kids, are doing before the transition from lower primary to upper primary. That
So
is
you-
from
you-
grade 3 to grade 4.
You're physically testing their intelligence.
Their
reasoning.
social, emotional learning,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all these different dimensions. So, and how they are transitioning from primary now to junior secondary. That's 7th grade in our system. So we need to know. Other countries, what they do is that when you, based on data, you can make a decision that a particular student could pursue the informal, the education system, for example, maybe go to a TVET instead of the formal system, going to a university also, based on the IQ, based on the intelligence, and so forth. So
And based on their show of interest.
their show of interest, that's another aspect. But this is what we want to do, and it's for early diagnostics, so you be able to pick up and know how does the system,
Or where does it fit?
Where does it fit? How is the system performing? For example, is our curriculum even appropriate? How are the kids performing against the curriculum? Mind you, we have now reformed our curriculum. The first time we have a competency-based curriculum, and we think that is great, especially for the ministry. Now you hear people talking about sexuality education. All these things were never part of that. So this is about understanding how the kids are feeling, everything about their entire self. So like people begin to live the education that they have, lifelong learning.
Okay.
So this is the kind of system we're talking about, and that the improvement that this government, that this ministry, this current administration has been able to bring, to the table.
And this is implemented by whom?
So for the learning assessment, for the policy development in 2021, we hire a group called Innovation for Poverty Action. It's based in Liberia, but they have their headquarters in the U.S. and they are in other countries. I think 26 other countries. So basically, they work with our internal team, the education management and information and assisting the image team at the ministry, the Center of Excellence for Curriculum Development and Textbook Research, and also other team members from the Department of Planning, Research, and Development. So basically, there was a technical working group that worked with that group in the development of the policy. The policy was adopted by the government and is now being implemented fully. In fact, the system was piloted, in 2021. The results were published, were presented to stakeholders, and we're now doing a full implementation. So what we're doing now, we're going to work again with that group to do the full implementation for the first time.
Okay.
We're trying to build an internal team so that it will become a culture of the ministry. That if not on a semester basis, because it's a little expensive, it's not just giving tests, it requires, a lot of logistics, getting team in the field, no direct assessment going to school and so forth. So the ministry will begin to do, these assessments on a regular basis. That's what we want to see.
Let's end with the ARAS project before we come to the overall achievements, investment achievement, and matching the investment done in these three programs with the results coming out, if they actually worth it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the ARAS project.
The ARAS project. So the Improving Results in Secondary Education project. This project, you are aware, we've had several conversations around it.
Yeah, I've hosted Kiazulu
my
several
colleague,
times.
he is the technical lead of the ARAS project, and we all
It
work
seems
together.
as if ARAS is the most talked about.
It's the most talked about, and the reason is very simple. This is the first time we've seen such a significant investment in senior secondary education. So, and we are grateful. This project is funded by the World Bank. It's an IDA. It's an IDA grant, free. This is not a loan that we have to pay interest, and so forth.
And the rest are loans?
No, all the other projects are grants, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
From the
Global Partnership for Education.
Okay.
But this ARAS project, a 47 million grant, is fully funded by the World Bank Group. It's an IDA project, funded project. So what is this? You asked a very good question. What are the dividends? Are the results matching? The investment.
Yeah.
I think that's a brilliant question, and I would say yes, emphatic yes.
I mean, that yes should be a realistic yes of the actual hands-on things that we can see.
I'm coming there, and I was happy this morning when I was coming to your studio. The Super Morning Show from Habib Multilateral. I think is an EFBC correspondent there.
Yeah.
So he was reporting from there, and, talking about training that was just conducted over the weekend, and on grievance redress mechanism, encouraging communities to participate, to report their grievances, to be able to get to the ministry if they have issues, if they have concern with what we're doing in the country. This is the first time we see, such level of transparency, not just because it is a requirement of the project to have a grievance redress mechanism system in place for implementation, but because the ministry is interested in openness, is interested in transparency. The ministry is interested in accountability. So we don't want to just be carrying all the investments in all the communities, with building schools, with rehabilitating. So what? Local ownership, local involvement. So how are the beneficiaries even feeling? So the best definition of quality stems from the beneficiary's standpoint.
Yeah.
So if you say you have provided quality services, those who receive the services must attest to that. So that is the kind of mechanism we try to put in place. But back to the ARAS project overall. The ARAS project specifically focused on senior secondary education, to improve our senior secondary education system. So they have several components, and the first component of that project has to do with school infrastructure development. We're building 3 big schools across 3 counties. I know you are aware.
Yeah.
We have one school in Maigibi, that's very Kakata. We have one school in Banga district. We have another school that will be constructed also in Kanta. In fact, that are being constructed because mobilization activities are all completed, and those we are talking about huge contracts here. I think on average we have like $1.4 million for each side. So we are talking about huge investments in those counties we're discussing. So we're going to, maybe we may not have a kind of setup like in the 70s like Tottenham had. But the goal of the ministry is to go close to something, like that. But maybe not at this time. We had a design. we have the blueprint for that, but we're going to build a facility that will be able to house, teachers. We have laboratories, for all the sciences, physics, chemistry, biology, and so forth. You have different, you have like conference hall, you have play facility, you have, so there are different aspects of the facility that will be constructed.
You have TVET
to
aspect.
each of those. No, TVET is a completely different program. I know you may have heard about the UNIDO, the investment, the EU investment, in fact, some 20 million or so, that they supported the ministry also in the TVET sector. So we can talk more about that maybe another time.
So if you were to, Mr. Basakoli,
I want to talk more about the ARAS project.
Yeah, just briefly. Then we'll come to the next question.
Yeah. So aside from that, on state construction, we are expanding 23 junior secondary schools in actually 25. Because we have 3 that is using what we call investment project, financing modality, where it's being directly managed, by the ministry, and then we have another 2, amounting to 25, managed by the community. So it's the community empowerment approach, and the idea is to empower communities, and also it's in the true spirit of decentralization. So after this ARAS project, there will be no educational district in this country, in Liberia, that does not have a senior high school. So that is
when does the ARAS project end?
The ARAS project originally is supposed to end by November 30th of 2023. But there may be an extension because we have some.
Is there any along with the Getting to Best?
The Getting to Best is ending June 30th, 2023.
Oh, okay.
So it's ending early.
Yeah.
And then the Liberia Learning Foundations project will end a month later, that's December 31st, 2023.
Are there prospects for a renewal of these programs?
I think I wanted to just take a little 2 minutes to talk additional thing about the ARAS project. Then I'll tell you about the prospect.
You're so fascinated about the ARAS project.
Yeah.
But we've talked more about the ARAS project. We know.
Okay.
But I asked, are there prospects for renewal of these projects?
Yes, they are not really a renewal. I think
Extension?
I think the question should be what are the prospects, for mobilizing additional resources to continue to do the good work that the ministry is doing.
If there are prospects, there will certainly be a way to generate the resources.
There are prospects. So, for example, the Getting the Best and the LLF project. We are already working with the GPE to develop what you call a partnership compact for Liberia. So, by definition, what a compact is that is basically a statement. It's a document, a small document, a 10-pager, a small document articulating the transformative agenda of the country as far as education is concerned. So it defines a key priority area that when cascaded can be able to affect the rest of the sector, all the subsectors, for that matter. So basically, what we're doing is that as part of the compact, Liberia now already has an allocation of up to 37 million, that we can be able to get. And how is that amount structured? There is a system transformation grant of 19.5 million that the government can get. And let me tell you something, right? And we are very happy about our president. So you remember the last cabinet retreat, President Weah, asked all of his cabinet ministers to explore all avenues, wherever opportunities are in the terms of bringing development to this country. Wherever you are as a minister, don't leave any stone unturned. So what our world minister has done to engage the global partnership for education. So as I speak, the minister has constituted a task team to be able to develop the compact, and I happen to be the technical lead for the compact process, especially from the angle of the ministry. We're working with the World Bank as a grant agent for what we call the System Capacity Grant. It's a 2.2 million grant, but we are not going for that full amount. We just got an endorsement from the local education group yesterday for about $170,000 to be able to facilitate the work of the tax team and the grant agent to prepare the compact. So when the compact is prepared, we want to benefit from the system transformation grant of 19.5 million, and there's also a multiplier allocation for Liberia, and that multiplier allocation is up to 15 million. And the way the multiplier grant system works, if Liberia is to unlock the 15 million allocated, for her, it means we have to mobilize additional 45 million from philanthropic donors, from maybe our traditional donors like World Bank, USAID and so forth, to be able to unlock the 15 million.
So in essence, Mr. Basakoli,
Yes.
your chances of getting further support, resources,
Yes.
investments are dependent on your progress, the progress you're making in these projects, right?
Yes.
Because if you put together all of your progress report, and present it to the donors, you stand a chance of getting more investment or extension of these projects as well, and more investments.
Exactly. Exactly.
So if you were to name tangible achievements from these projects,
Yep.
let's say for getting to best, you name two, the assessing education, you name two, and ARAS two, your best tools.
So I already mentioned the issue of the improvement in the proportion of qualified teachers under the Getting the Best project. If the ministry has not made any significant achievements under the Getting the Best project, that is something to boast of. And it's not just that we have increased the proportion of qualified teachers, but the transparency with our teacher payroll system, the accountability system that have been put in place, the strengthening of CEOs and DEOs to ensure accountability at the school level. That those are major achievements that we can boast of. So, and under the Liberia Learning Foundation project, I know the project is still being implemented, but if we can achieve our goal of transitioning about 5,000 overage children from the ECE to primary, that will be a massive achievement.
Are you on track to getting that?
We are on track. We completed the training of our master trainers. We completed the training of our teachers. They are not in schools. They are not working with these kids. So the kids have already enrolled in the system, and then the program is going very well. So, and the issue of the learning assessment system being established, a policy developed for the first time, adopted as a country, and piloted, and it's being rolled out. This is going to be, look, let me tell you something. The recent report from the GPE, GPE does what you call the global monitoring, and there is something we call the GPE 2025 results framework. It will interest you to know that Liberia, in terms of our own scoring and how we perform in the various areas, we are lacking key data for some of the indicators to really be measured. So, for example, aside from what USAID did in 2014, back sometime on EGRA, ECMA, the early grade reading, early grade math assessment, in terms of measuring students' proficiency, especially at primary level or so, we lack data on some of these key indicators.
So it is the onus is on people like you to make the data available.
So that's what we have done. So the framework
it's not a data that you should just keep in your office, but publish them online, because that's where you reference them.
The framework has been put in place, and it's being done by the ministry. Like I said, we are working on building a data ecosystem, a culture of data, where, for example, the EMIX, the Education Management Information System, is empowered, equipped to that extent that today, if you walk to the ministry and say you wanted to know how many kids dropped out of school, in the last 6 months, that in real time you get that information, because it's a digital data system. As we are collecting the different data from the school, you just at central office, or if you have the link, you click, like now our current census being conducted. If you have the link and just click, you're going to see the information on your school, how many teachers are there, the period teachers who dropped.
The link should be made available. Let me just go on Google right now. Google, Liberia School Census Report 2022.
Agree.
I mean, let it display.
Agree. So once the data collection process has ended, and all this information will be available to the public. You go to our website sometimes, you go to our bulletin, we have some key information. Okay. Like on the various projects and different achievements of the ministry, and all the things that the ministry is doing.
Okay, so just before I open a line, you name two different two achievements of the other projects. Let's come to the ARAS project just very quickly before I ask you a question about support to the communication division, because we from the communication angle we also thought to advocate for our guys in the communication divisions at various ministries and agencies as to what the support they are getting.
Yeah.
With the ARAS project.
Yeah, so I think I already mentioned. I
Yeah.
think you will agree with me to have senior high school in every education district in this country is a plus.
Okay.
So the 25 schools being junior secondary schools being expanded, I think it's a major boost for the country. So we have 1,500 or more girls who now are benefiting from the scholarship program under the ARAS project. And during the recent mission of the World Bank, they took a visit to a school. I've forgotten the name of the school, and they came back. As the World Bank was saying this to us, that when they asked the school, the principal admitted that they have struggled to enroll girls in our school for the past, I think, 3 to 5 years. They cannot even get 100 students to enroll in the senior high. But for the first time, with the renovation, with the scholarship, the schools are attractive. We renovating the schools. You see some of the pictures, right? I'm sure you see some of the pictures. If you go to the website and you follow, you see some of the on our Facebook page, the ministry. So with the scholarship program, we had that number almost triple. They have so many girls attending in school, and our hope is that they will not just enroll because they are no longer paying money. It's a free education, but that they will remain and be able to graduate and go to a tertiary education.
Okay, support to the communication division at MOE.
So
and don't mind me, my man Masin say my man asked the question.
So I don't know. I don't know why Marcy is asking that question.
Yeah, but
so for us, we value the communication department, and the Department of Administration has the oversight over that unit or the division.
But it's vital. It's a vital
communication.
division.
That's what I said. I said we value the work of our community. In fact, this is communication. So if Marcy has not, done all the arrangements, making sure I'm here today to speak to the public, that wouldn't have been possible. Sure. And it's not just that. We've been working with our communications team at the ministry. We go in the field, and Maxine have been following the work of the ministry, and reporting on the different activities. But I agree with you. In terms of logistical needs, those things will always be. It will never be sufficient. So if Maxine had a camera today, Maxine, we're even giving a vehicle, Maxine, will get a fuel to travel around the country also, there will still be need. So yeah. I think we're working within the little resources we have as a ministry, and I strongly believe in the wisdom of Minister Sonny. This is somebody who believes in institutional, capacity building, human capital development, and I'm a witness, to that. So the communications division or unit cannot be an exception to such a vision of a visionary leader that we have in Professor Dawo Ansosoni.
Okay, if you just joined us, you're listening to the Super Morning Show on ELBC Radio. This segment is Education at Midweek. And my guest this morning is Mr. Joe Basakoli. He is the portfolio coordinator of the World Bank Education Portfolio at the Ministry of Education. My name is Vafle Kamara. You can call us now on 0800514 096, 080514096, or 07705818886, 07705818886, and be live. If you have concerns for Mr. Basakoli, you can call us on 080514096. Let's hear from this person. Morning.
Good morning.
Morning, what's the name?
Yeah, the name is ZJS Moba Jr.
Where you called from?
Yeah, my name is Ezekiel.
Yeah, leave from the radio, yeah, because I'm hearing myself at the back. So just leave from the radio, just walk away small. Yeah, but you can be talking while leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
My name is ZJS Moba Jr. and I call from District 1, Magidi County. Yeah, I listened to the the deliberation of studio guests. And I think in my mind, I must give applause to the leadership at the Ministry of Education. Because there are a lot of things that we know haven't been happening in our system before that he outlined. My own, advice to the team there is that they shouldn't stop. They should continue to lobby because I don't care what you do, there will always be insufficiencies somewhere. But I trust the ability of my big brother in studio, and I know that his innovative work will help bring growth and development to our education sector. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's hear from this person. Morning. 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 What's your name?
My name is Momon Success Kamara, and I'm joining you from Banga, County.
Let's hear you, Success.
Yeah, thank you so much to the studio guests. I mean, I admire the elaboration and he spoke plentifully. So, but I have some recommendation that I want to make to the Ministry of Education.
Yeah, go ahead.
I tried writing them on Facebook, but I think they didn't see my message. I mean, I'm having some problem with the Liberian school system, most especially the tertiary area. At least the secondary education, the ministry is doing well, but they are just forget about the tertiary area. So you see that most of those colleges and universities around this country, they're just doing their own things. So I want the minister to put some system in place, let it work with the High Commission of Education to put some system in place. Like the issue of this school or the issue about the transfer students. You see that when students graduate from a university or college and enroll to another university, because of money, the people can cut down so many courses. But therefore, I mean, I did biology at the local county community college. I graduated with 3 points above. I took a transfer to
Success, are you there? Success, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you are coming in, broken.
Oh, okay. So I'm saying, I will appreciate the minister to work with the High Commission of Education to work with those colleges. I mean, I graduated from the 3 points above in biology, secondary education. I took a transfer college with the same discipline. I didn't change my discipline. But you won't believe, I'm utmost surprised the people cut down my courses all the way to 60. Yeah. What are these things for? And I the same discipline.
Okay. So you
have a system to have a unique curriculum that anywhere you come from, when you go for BSc, you just start from where you stop and continue the process.
Sure.
So I really appreciate the minister to work with High Minister or High Commission Education to put these things in place.
Okay.
Thank you so much for informing the time.
Thank you so much. Let's hear from this person. Morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning, what's your name?
I'm Solomon Pola Buskwa from Sopline.
Yeah, let's hear you.
Okay, let me say thanks for the senior guests for expanding greatly on the educational side of our country. But again, my major concern is the issue of information dissemination in our country, especially when it comes to public agency and that of ministry. Most of the agency and ministry, we go on the website to get actual information, the activities of the running of the entity. It's actually difficult to get information. But if the ministry can work on that, the education ministry can work on that, but creating a data system that if you go there and get information as to the day-to-day run of the ministry, that would be excellent. That would be a plus for the ministry.
Okay.
So thank you very much.
Thank you. We can take a call, one more call, and then go back to Mr. Joe Basakoli. Call us on 0800514-096, 0800514-096, and be live. Morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. What's your name?
My name is Kenneth. I'm joining from Rockford County.
Okay.
First, I want to applaud the studio guests for all of the lovely things they're doing towards our country. My encouragement there is I want to encourage them that they continue to student study, that we have better materials. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Basagori, you can just respond to the concerns, then we wrap up.
Yeah, so many accommodations. We are glad to continue to work for the Liberian people, especially the children of Liberia. And I want to speak to the issue of the tertiary education system, the issue of transfer, students transferred and so forth, where the caller mentioned that a credit was reduced, and so. So I have a good news for you. And under the ARAS project, we're working with the University of Liberia and Tottenham University to harmonize the curricula that we have for the university. So, and once that harmonization is finalized, you can rest assured that no more where a student leave from one university to another, and then somebody, like in your case, major in biology, and then you transfer, you stay meeting your major, and then somebody, another university said, no, you cannot, we cannot honor the number of credits you brought. So when the curricula I harmonized, all these issues will now be addressed. So biology 101 at UMU University will be the same as biology 101 at the University of Liberia at Tottenham University. So it's going to be harmonized, across the board. The ministry is already working on that. We've gone far with that. We hired a consultant who worked with the universities of Liberia and Tottenham in Maryland. And the harmonization is almost finalized. It's been validated. So that will soon be the history. So that's the good news I have for you, my brother who called. So we agree, information dissemination is critical. We are in the digital world. So we will continue to improve our website, and we have a section on the website that you can leave some comments, and on our Facebook page. If you have issues, please feel free. And if you are able to go to the ministry, we welcome suggestions. We have suggestion boxes there and so forth. But we want to continue to speak to the public, and disseminate as much information as possible, especially talk about the progress, our achievements, and discuss the challenges, and we all can be able to find a way, together. So I think those were the few comments that we see.
Okay, Mr. Basakoli, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you on the show this morning.
Thank you. I just want to encourage our public, listening audience, the investment you make in education today will pay. It's been proven by Oxford research professor Hanushek and all that education investment pays. And a country like Liberia, and with about 3 maybe billion GDP, if we can maintain certain level of education quality, especially maintaining a standard deviation of 4 over 10 years, that would be more than additional 1 billion investment into our economy. Okay. So while it's true that you think that education is too expensive, in the long run, you begin to reap the benefit, and the benefits will outweigh your investment.
Thank you.
So I want to thank you, the opportunity, the ELBC family. Thank you so much. I wish we'll have more time to talk about education.
Anytime. Thank you. Well, he's Mr. Joe Basakoli. He is the portfolio coordinator there at the World Bank office at the Ministry of Education. My name is Vafle Kamara. A very short